What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Tuna Los here. If you guys are new, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. But let's get into the video. All right, so in this video we're going to be talking about how to read tapes in order book level 2s like a pro trader. So these two tools, tapes and level 2 data, are basically what professional traders use every single day to understand what's happening behind the charts and also what's happening behind the candles. All right, so let's get into it. All right, so what are tapes? Tapes, also known as time and sales, is your live feed of every single trade that's happening on the stock or contract in real time. And then also order book level 2s, right? Those are basically showing you all the limit orders waiting to be filled. It's a live view of supply and demand. Okay, so let me show you how they look like. So right here, obviously all the way to the right are time and sales, and then right here in the middle is order book level 2s, and then obviously on the left side is our charts. Okay, so in every broker they look different, but they all have the same categories and same meaning. Okay, so getting back to tapes and time and sales. Okay, so that's right here on the right side. So they are broken down to 4 categories. Okay, you got the price, where the trade happened, the size, how much shares or contracts were executed, the time when it hit, and the color, which direction it tells you of the trade. All right, and how you would find that, obviously right here is where you see the time, right here is where you see the price of the stock and when they bought it or sold it, and then obviously right here is where you see the direction of the trade, right? And obviously self-explanatory. Anything arrowing down are basically orders being filled at the bid, and then anything arrowing up are orders being filled at the ask. So basically green is good, red negative. You know what I'm saying? Easy measy. So that's just that. That's how you read time and sales. All right, but let's talk about it. Okay, so when you see a lot of green prints or green orders, those are trades hitting the ask, like I just said. But that means buyers are aggressive and they're paying the seller's price to get in. Okay, when you see red prints, those are trades hitting the bid, like I just said. But those are when sellers are being aggressive, and that means that they're accepting the buyer's price to get out. So in dumber terms, bid, sellers, ask, buyers. Copy? But that's pretty much it. But the real skill comes from watching the pace and the consistency of the prints. So if the prints start speeding up with larger and larger green prints, you're seeing momentum buying. That usually starts to, happen off a push, usually out of breakouts. You start to see a lot of that. If red prints start stacking fast with bigger sizes, that's signaling a sell-off and it's building pressure. So same thing, just the other way around. And that could also happen in a push or a breakout, whatever the situation is. Okay. Another thing pros watch for on tapes is basically absorption. So this means basically when a huge number of red prints come through, lots of selling is hitting the bid, but the price doesn't fall on the charts. So that means they're just hitting buying that you probably can't see, and the market is just glitching. So usually when you see that happen, you have to be patient. But just to picture that in tapes, like you get to avoid many things: a turnaround, a rejection, a fake out. Like you need to see things happen fluidly, and not all the time it does, but you need to see things happen fluidly, and that's how you really get the best of your plays, because you always trade where the money's going. That's how you make your money here. It's that simple. So getting into that, as you guys can see here right now, we're looking at the video. Okay, you can see right now we're very weak and we're testing areas of demand. Okay, and then when we talk about support and resistance or supply and demand, this is where order book comes in, but we're going to dive right into it. But in this example, I just want to show you how tapes react with the chart itself. All right, so remember, anything with time and sales are providing real-time data. So this is kind of like what moves the market, because these are filled orders. All right, these are filled orders. This is what people bought and actually sold, and it got pushed in through this stock, and it's moving the market. Okay, so when it comes to stock movements, this is when time and sales or tapes could come in handy, because now you can really see where buyers and sellers really are and where they are aggressive. So as of right now, we're seeing that we're testing 177 here. Okay, and look at the tapes. It's pretty self-explanatory. Remember, here we start from the bottom. Most brokers start differently. They actually start from the top, but we're starting from the bottom. So new orders are being placed from the bottom going up. So just look at it. Obviously, we're testing some areas of demand, so you're going to see a lot of green orders. But here's where you can see, all right, are we overly sold off, or are we going to retest this area of price? But look, stock is going down. You can see a whole lot of red prints. All right, but remember, the real pro of this is pace and consistency. And also, I want you to just focus on the context, not just the color. All right, like see where the trades are actually at. See how much, volume like basically the order of the trades. Like, see, you got to look into those things to make it make sense. And yes, it comes fast, but this comes with a lot of screen time that you guys need to take advantage of. Okay, so that's just that with tapes. Okay, now let's get into order book. Now this is the middle thing. Okay, so this shows, like I said, the limit orders waiting to be filled. So these, whatever you see on order book level 2s, those are orders that have not been filled yet. Whatever is filled is going to transition into time and sales. But the orders that just been placed in the market waiting to be filled, they're going to be put into the level 2 order books. All right. And it's just a live view of supply and demand. Like, you get to see large walls of orders at certain prices to tell you something. Are we playing as demand here, or are we going to continue respecting resistance? Like, what's the case here? And you get to see that in real time on level 2 data. Okay, so let's talk about it. Obviously, they're sectioned off pretty simple. The left side, you got the bid. The right side, you got the ask. And you remember, bids are sellers, ask are buyers. And you get to see basically orders from different types of markets, different types of currencies and stuff like that. Obviously, this is something you got to subscribe for to get access to certain currencies and certain markets. But here's where you get to see all of it. It's pretty self-explanatory. In the middle, or at least on the end of the bar, you get to see the orders of the shares or contracts. You get to see the price and obviously the market's coming from. And what you want to focus on here is basically the price, both in the stock and also how much they entered in with, whether shares or contract. Okay. In my science, when it comes to order book, you always want to see the bid outperform the ask. But you first want to see the bid meet the ask, if that makes sense. So let me slow down. So when it comes to using the order book, you use this to find walls in your trade or potential of trades, right? So right now we're in the video. As you guys are seeing, we're having this little wall here at 177, probably 177.50 around there, like as you can see. And we're retesting from it. You know, we're pushing up. You know, from how it looks, we should be selling off continuously because from what you're seeing on this trend. But we're retesting a little bit from the of some demand here at this level at 177.23. Each level shows the price and how many shares are being offered there or contracts. So when you read it like a pro, right, you're looking for certain behaviors. So let's talk about it. So about this low at 177.23, when you see a big bid sitting at a price like, let's say 1,000 shares at 177.23 on a video, that's showing as potential support. So that shows you that buyers are waiting there. And if price approaches it and that order stays firm, it can act over like many things. Like, it can bounce as support. On the flip side, a big sell wall could come in where if it could hold above price and it could hold down like resistance, we're going to go down. And as long as you see on time and sales, we're seeing a large red prints, it's going to continue down, vice versa. So it's like around this time, that's when you start to mix everything together and you start to make better investment decisions on your position to know, all right, are we going to continue downside? Are we going to continue upside? And sort of that stuff, right? And then one thing you also want to focus on is order pulling. So sometimes those big walls disappear right away and before price even gets there. So that's what we call order pulling. So often a sign to know when that coming, you have to wait for the order and you have to kind of wait for the reaction of the stock itself to avoid like any hesitation or any confusion in order books. So that's just also a tip I would like to say. You always want to wait for the reaction and not the prediction, because you gotta see like how orders work and how it moves the markets. Like, if you were to see someone buy 100,000 shares on the bid here on the order book and it didn't get filled on the time and sales, and then the chart is still, that should mean something. Maybe there's hidden buyers, maybe it didn't get filled, they canceled their order. There could be a lot of things, but you're getting to see all that in real time and make better investment decisions on that. Okay, but that's just pretty much it of how everything looks. But remember, order book shows intent and not action. These are pending orders, not completed trades. So do not confuse the two. What moves the stock you're watching is time and sales. To figure out where real supply and demand are, you watch order book. Okay, so keep that in mind. But knowing when to combine it is very important. So let's also talk about that more, at least. So combining tape and order book together. All right, so this is basically where elite traders separate themselves from combining tools to confirm real flow. So think of it as the order book tells you what people want to do, and tapes show you what people are actually doing. So let's come up with an example here. So if you're seeing a bid wall holding at, let's say 102, right? And then tape starts printing fast with green prints trading at 102.05 and 102.10, right? That's confirmations that buyers are stepping up and absorbing supply. And you can tell because it's above the wall that's holding at 102. So as long as we can hold those buyers above 102 and you're seeing that on the flip side, that's a good thing. Vice versa. Okay. On the flip side, let's say if there's a big sell wall at 105, but the tapes keep showing large green prints eating through that wall. So that's what we call absorption. Usually buyers are not strong enough to break through and sellers are overpowering them. So you get to see all that stuff within tapes and order book. The goal is to read reaction, not just a setup like I talked about. So just always make sure if price bounces when it hits a wall, that wall is real and it's strong. To know if it's strong, you got to see repetitive orders on there. And if the price slices through it, that wall was fake or weak and the opposition is winning. And usually, like I said, these all happen during like breakouts, certain turnovers, rejections. So that's when you want to use tapes. Like you want to use them around key area points in your position or a potential position or whatnot, because that's when it becomes important and useful. I feel like just watching this while you're just looking at charts on a long-term perspective or whatever the case is, like it's just going to confuse you, because as you can see, this is just moving fast with lots of colors, lots of price changes and markets. Like it's going to give you a fucking headache. Like you got to look at this when you need to look at it. And that's basically my advice. Like when you're prepping for a trade or in a trade, or probably after a trade, you got to kind of see if the momentum's still here. Are we still with volume? Like what's the case here? Okay. But that's just the tips for all that. So as you guys can see, when I talked about earlier, it's like when you want to see the bid outperform the ask, but first meet the ask. Let's see here, right? So right now we're hovering around 177.56, right? Where there's a wall here at 177.23. So let's say we're on the seller side. We need to get below 177.23 on the bid. Okay. So as you can see right now, the ask is 177.58. At least it's moving around for very fast. But what we can see here, we can see 54, 55 cents on the ask and then 55, 56 cents on the bid. So what you always want to see here in your favor, of course, like right now you can see this is hitting 49. So we want to be, we are in a selling position right now. So we want this to shrink in. We want it to go below 23 cents. So that's what we want to see first. You want to see, people putting out orders in there so we can buy below 23 cents or at 23 cents. And once that is there and published, then now you want to see the bid obviously meet ends with the ask, because now guess what? Once you enter, obviously you have to kind of enter before that break, and to know if we're overpowered by sellers. Let's act like we got that confirmation. We're very weak, right? You want to see, once you're in, let's say you got filled that 177.23, right? You want this to hold under as resistance at 177.23 and have large order prints, well, I would say potential fills here, to know, okay, we're breaking that wall and we might continue further. Now, this is when you transition into time and sales to see, are we getting strong fills beneath 177.23? And then once you mix everything together and you're seeing things in real time, that's when you start to be like, okay, this is actually going my favor. And as you can see right now, you're seeing that happen in the chart. It's going in the order book. You can see right now we're getting to lower fills here. The ask is nearing the 177.23 mark. As we're at right now, we just reached down lower light right there. Bingo. You can see we're under. And now you want to see large walls hold under 177.23. As you can see, there's amounts of walls. This starts from the bottom, FYI, same way as the time and sales does. And then bingo, and you just have to put a lot of screen time to this, as right now we're holding under 177.23, and as long as the ask keep dropping, the bid will meet with the ask, but we have to outperform the ask, if that makes sense, at what we bought it for. You know what I'm saying? Let's say we got in at 177.23. We need to make sure this is outperforming that to the opposite side to make sure we're winning this trade. And that's just kind of how you read time and sales and order book and putting it all together. So it's not rocket science. This does take a lot of work, a lot of screen time. And like my tips to even mastering tape reading, like number one, record your trading sessions. They're very useful because you can go back in time, review tapes before every big move that you took on your trades. You get to watch real flow, how it looked like, how fast, what sizes that you needed to focus on, which colors dominated, and you get to train your eyes to see it more when you're trading live. And number two, focus on context. A burst in green prints at resistance doesn't mean a breakout. It could mean buyers are getting trapped, but that same burst at support can mean real strength. So just always look at, the real context of like orders, how much they are, how aggressive in both terms, level twos, and time of sales. Number three, track your absorption and exhaustion. If price moves fast with volume, but then starts to slow down or flip colors, that's exhaustion. That means we're not strong enough. We just had a little 30-second rush. So you got to kind of watch out for those because those could signal real high reversals and you can get ate up real fast, what I'm saying, on your position. And obviously stay patient. Like this is very fast. Tape reading comes with real skill. You have to be patient. Tape reading isn't for everybody. This is not something you master overnight. It takes a lot of screen time repetition. So yeah, it all goes back to the first one. Just record your trade sessions, back test a lot, man. A lot, man. And then lastly, combine it with your structure. Like tapes and order books, they're your best friends. You know what I'm saying? And when you can really execute it with your strategy consistently, like, I play a lot of breakouts and divergences. So, those come in handy a lot because at those points, like, that's when real aggressive move happens. And to know if it will happen, I need to rely on tapes. So just make sure, you're combining with your structure and it's consistent. You're not changing nothing. And all you're doing is just enhancing your knowledge on what you're looking at. All right. But that's just pretty much it, guys, like on this video. I didn't want to put too much out to complicate you guys. I really gave you guys the simplest version of how to read and use tapes, order books as a pro. At least from Mike's experience, they work. They're the best thing you can do. Get into it. It'll make you a lot of money. Once I got into this field of using these indicators, like my trading went like it skyrocketed, man. So definitely look into this, guys. If you guys like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more videos, man. And I appreciate you guys for watching, man. Deuces.